to Chef David's Kitchen again. Today we're going to make homemade, whole grain, whole wheat pita bread. This is really fun to make, and one of the things you have to do is you do have to have some time because there's waiting time. Whenever you make fresh bread, you want it to rise. So that is part of the deal. So today we're going to start out with our yeast. I have a tablespoon of yeast right here, some honey, and some lukewarm water. Okay, so that's what we're going to start out with. I'm going to show you what I do. Okay, as I said, this is 1 tablespoon of active yeast. I'm going to add a teaspoon of honey to it. If you don't want to use honey, you can use sugar, but we're trying to make this very wholesome. And so there goes my honey, and half a cup of lukewarm water. I'm just going to give that a quick little stir. And you want this to dissolve a little bit. We're going to let it sit for about 10 minutes. Get that yeast to eat up that sugar in the honey. I'm going to set that aside. Put my timer on for 10 minutes. Now I'm ready to start making my dough. So I'm going to need to get a big bowl. I have 3 cups of whole wheat flour. I have some water. I have some flour here for my my flour board, some salt. Okay, so we're ready to start our dough. And there's my 3 cups of flour. I'm going to put a pinch of salt in there, a couple pinches. Okay, that's, if you want, maybe a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to put a teaspoon of olive oil in there. Okay, I'm going to get 4. And now I'm ready for 1 1/3 cups of water. And you want to mix that flour in, wet it up, and you're starting to see a dough form. I would like to show you a little technique that I came up with. You need a oil bowl. So I pour some oil in the bottom of this, and I just took my paper towel, and I go like this with it, and just make it nice, and you can feel it to the touch. That's all you have to do. And then you're going to have your nice oiled, and I'll leave that there right before I'm ready to use it. I'm just about ready to put in my yeast mixture and knead this dough a little bit before I let it set to rise. So I'm going to mix that all up, and there's my buzzer. So let's add this to the center of my dough. And you can see how foamy that got. Now I'm going to do add a little bit of spice. This is za'atar, and a little bit of Italian seasoning to it, just to give it a little bit of flavor. And now I'm ready to knead this all together. So I'm going to fold it. Mix that yeast mixture in there really well. Yeah, just a little bit more flour. As you can see, it's pretty sticky. So I'm going to keep on adding a little bit of flour. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit, one last turn with my olive oil. That's my garbage bowl. I'm going to turn this over to this bowl. And I'm going to cover it with a moppine. That's what we say in Italian American households. And there we go. So we're going to let that set for a while. I'll be back in an hour to see how that's risen, and then maybe give it an extra half an hour. Well, we've been waiting for about an hour and 15 minutes, a little bit longer maybe, and I have my risen dough. I'm going to show that to you in a second. I'm going to punch it down, and then I'm going to put it on my board, flour board, and knead it a little teeny bit. And then I'm going to divide it into 12 pieces. Okay, here's my covered bowl. You can take off my moppine. Punch this down. Still a little bit sticky, so I'm going to take some of this flour. That feels a little better. Knead that a little bit. Okay, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to divide this into 12. So I'm going to divide it into quarters. Make it into a nice square. Two, 4. I'm going to make them into little circles. And put them on my cookie sheet. Okay, so there's the first 3. Okay, so now I have my little circles of dough. I'm going to cover them for a half an hour. Oh, that's a lovely towel. And then we'll be back to roll them out a little bit, and then we're going to cook them. Sounds good. All right. So my dough is flattened out into circles. It's covered with the towels. I'm going to let it sit for about 30 minutes. Then I'll come back and I'll roll them out and let them sit for another 30 minutes, and then we'll be ready to cook them. It has been about 30 minutes. I've let my dough rise. So there they are. They look pretty beautiful. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start rolling them out with my rolling pin to about 6 inches. So you want to make them thin. So that's about the size you want. Let's do another one. And if you need some flour to make it not stick to your pen, make sure you do that. And that's really all that's to it, is you're going to thin it out. And what we're going to do is we're going to get all of these thinned out. We're going to let it sit for another half an hour and see it rise. So there are my 12 pitas, and I'm going to cover them again. Okay, it's been about 30 minutes, so my circles are about to go into the oven. What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove one of my parchment sheets with my circles on them and then put a new parchment down and cook about 2 or 3 at the same time. Again, the oven temperature I set at 500 degrees Celsius, so you might want to preheat your oven before you let these rise, and then when you come back you can just pop them in the oven and start cooking them. Okay, and there's our reveal. So I'm just going to take this and lift these up, place them over this set here, take my new piece of parchment paper, take this big one, but before I put them in the oven I'm going to flip them down to the other side. They're on the paper, they're separated. When I flip those over, I'm going to pop them in the oven. Again, it's at 500 degrees. Put them on the lower rack. Set the timer for 5 minutes. And that's all that's to it. And it smells so good in here. My first batch are just about ready to come out of the oven. And wait till you see how pillowy these wonderful pitas look. And there it is. Look at, can you see how pillowy they got? Here's my wonderful pita bread. My first 3. So I'm going to put them on this rack to cool off. And I'll come back and taste them after I make the rest of them. So I'm so excited. I hope you're as excited to make these. They're lots of fun to eat. They're lots of fun to make. Whole wheat pita bread. Okay everyone, so it's time to enjoy. I hope you enjoyed this video making fresh homemade pita. It's been a lot of fun to make, and now I'm going to have a nice opportunity to try some of my pita. So I'm going to break it. Oh, listen to that. Look at, you could stuff that with different things. Let's taste a taste. Oh, it's crispy and chewy. Oh, so good. So good. Enjoy. Again, this is Chef David. Have a good day. Delicious. Please like this video with a thumbs up. Subscribe for more cooking videos with Chef David. Have a great day.